Hey everyone, so in the last video we finished making the steel 2-meter water wheel and packed it up and set off to the site. I thought while we're driving to site, I thought I'd show you some of the work that's been done on site by the customer and family and friends. While I was building the water wheel, they were doing all of the site work, you know, the pads for the water wheel, the foundations for the trough and so on. So I thought I'd just run through some pictures. So it started out with just a torrent of water, because we started doing this in the winter. They managed to block off the flow of water and get it dry, and managed to construct some temporary templates and things to try and figure out where the trough was going exactly, and made some scale models and things. They then managed to start getting some concrete in place based off the model and the scale models they did. Had some upright stanchions made as well locally. I didn't make those. Then started to construct the trough in pieces, and there's Richard there doing that. Did some great work, and then started to construct those pieces together, making the whole thing in a easy and accessible position. And then the whole thing was taken back apart and put back together in place because of the weight of it. They've also done some work on the spillway, which this is the divert of water that goes around the water wheel, and finished off the dam part that holds the water into the mill pond and directs it into the trough. Right then, I'm here, and look, so this is where the water wheel is going to sit. So there's our 4 concrete pads. Here is the water trough that designed. The guys here, I haven't actually done any of this work at all. I just designed it, and the owner and his friend actually made some changes to that design. They've done fantastic work and had some stanchions and stuff fabricated. And here is the site of the water wheel. I'll take you up and show you the dam. We've currently got really decent flow, but that isn't even the half of it really. And they've just let a little bit more through as well. So yeah, so I haven't long got here. I'm just about to go and start getting the trailer unpacked and get the frame down here. Just let a bit more water through the dam, and I'm going to start getting the frame in place. And yeah, I'm going to get this water wheel installed. This is the overflow bypass. So obviously we've got our water trough coming along there, which feeds the wheel. And then in an event of a flood, we have this bypass channel, which is still under construction. And this bypass takes all of the extra water. It stops the water wheel being overrun with water. So this is the entrance to the bypass. So once the water gets too high, it can come round here, just like it is on the model, back down into the river. Just here is the mill pond, and this will be full of water. But Richard here is the man who's been doing most of the work on site really. Kept everything running here, getting all of the trough and everything in place, and been instrumental in getting all this work done on site. I haven't done any of this work, I've just been making the wheel. And so yeah, there's a dam that goes in these slots here, and then water feeds along the trough, and then the trough feeds all the way along and over to the wheel. It'll all become clear as we start fitting it. But yeah, there's a lot of people here, a lot of hands on deck trying to get concrete in because there was a big flood. We've only just managed to get the water back under control again, because it completely flooded everything. Yeah, so next step is to get the frame loaded and get it on the pads down there. There, so round that way, that. On there. Right, frame's in place, so next thing is to mount the hub. Now the hub I actually hand painted, because I didn't want it to get distorted with going in ovens, powder coating or anything like that. It's so important that it remains straight and square and everything, so it's just painted. But it's such thick steel that it's not going to be a problem anyway, and it can be touched up. So we get that in place now. So we've just got the hub in. I'll mess around with it in and out once we've got everything assembled. Didn't film getting in because it's quite treacherous to get it down here. But we'll get it nipped up and then we'll mess with it later. So I just had to spend ages rethreading the uprights because the galvanisers galvanised them. So while I was doing that, Richard has installed 8 spokes on this side, and now we're just getting these uprights in, and then we're going to start looking at cutting the trough down to the length it needs to be, and then we'll start getting the outer ring pieces in. Quite exciting. What happens with it? There we go. Right, it is the end of day 1, so that included me getting here, and we got the spokes in, and well, one side spokes in and the top trough support in. The trough is just a tiny little bit out. It's about 3 degrees out at the minute, so I'm just going to have to adjust that to bring it over just so everything sits right on the pads. But it's literally maybe 20 millimeters out or something maximum. So we'll sort that out in the morning. Yeah, everything's looking good so far. Right, morning everyone. So next day, and we've got up really early and just quickly adjusted the angle of that trough. So now that lines up with the wheel exactly as we want it. So that's really good. So the goal of today is just literally get this wheel built. So we'll be on this wheel building all day. Hopefully it should look like a water wheel by the end of the day, I think. Guys over here are working on the end of the trough, not the trough, the spillway. Once we've got the spillway in place, we can start sending some water down this, but we need to have some control over this first. So yeah, I'm going to start putting this together. So Richard's just reassembling the trough, getting all the sides back on, and I'm getting these spokes in place. So you might have noticed that they've got a slither of wood behind them. It's just temporary. It's a temporary packer to pull these out so that I can slide the buckets in without damaging the paint. Because obviously the buckets are the exact width of these, and if we try and put them in, it's going to scratch up all the paint. So they just get these spacers on so we can get the buckets in, and then the spacers come up and it all gets tightened up at the end. Right, last spoke going on. Okay, that's all the spokes in. Looks nice, it looks very pleasing. So the next job now is to fit the outer ring pieces, all 16 of them. Yeah, I got it. Just about. Filming at the same. Right, I got the first 2 plates fitted, 2 outer ring pieces, and I just had to bring a bucket down here to check that they were orientated the right way because they're handed. So now it's just a case of going around and getting all of them on. But the buckets actually go through those bolts as well, so most of those bolts have to come back out again yet. So they're just all nipped up, finger tight, spaced out. We'll get it all assembled and then we'll get it all tightened up afterwards. But look at the fit and finish on this. It is lovely. I am well pleased with it. Everything's come out just lovely. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of a different view. So I've just got 4 more outer ring pieces to fit, and then it's a case of starting to fit the buckets. But I'll tell you what, that's a properly good bit of work, isn't it? I am well proud of that so far. It's coming together. So Richard is up here sticking on rubber seals around these edges, because the buckets overlap each other, and then this forms a seal between each bucket and obviously gives a nice trim to the edge. We've got a nice little workbench set up over here on the trailer and getting all those
and he's not complaining at all.
yeah, doing a great job. Time consuming job. Yeah, it's a very time consuming job, but very, very worthwhile job. While that glue is drying on the rubber seals for the buckets, we're going to get this gearbox mounted. Just trying to find things to do while the glue goes off. So yeah, let's lift this bad boy onto there. It's a lot heavier than it looks, I can tell you. And there we go. Let's get this mounted in here. Let's get this key steel in. There she goes. Okay, so there's our key steel fitted. Actually turns that way. Yeah, really nice tight fit. Pleased with that. Got the right washers in there somewhere, there they are. Right, I'm going to get this belt on. Just roughly, I just want to get a rough alignment to start with. I won't put too much force on it, just a little bit, just so we can align it a bit. But we'll have to be a bit careful now, because this will now make voltage. So I'm going to do some tests to make sure we're not sending anything down through the frame. Lost me a bit of wood. It was holding everything. One bucket, just need tightening it up. Right, should just about hold there. Slow process getting these buckets in now, can't be rushed. So I'm making sure to not damage any of the paint. And because I'm using stainless steel bolts, if you just whiz them up with a nut gun, they bind up on you and then you've got major problems on your hands. So it's just slow and steady, piece by piece, bit by bit. Yeah, I got it. There we go. Wow. One down. Right, just finished packing up. It's getting dark, it's about 7:30. So pretty long day, but loving it, really enjoying myself. Wheels going together, you know, as good as I'd like it, as good as it was before it was galvanised and everything. So I'm well pleased with that. So morning everyone, it is a new day and been up since 7. Been doing 12-hour days on this and just got 3 or 4 buckets left to fit. So me and Richard are going to do that. It's meant to really rain a lot today, so I'm going to try and here it comes, it's literally just started. So yeah, just try and get these buckets in and start running some water over it, see how it acts. It's really starting to take shape there now. So I can't spend too long standing here filming for you because Richard's waiting for me to go and lift on another bucket. Right. One that goes in between 2 is a bit of a battle to sort of squeeze into place because they all seal against each other, so you're fighting against 2 seals. But I made a bit of a mistake because I should have just worked my way around one by one, because then we'd have only had to do one that goes in between 2. But now we've had to do that twice, but that's okay. What we got? 2 or what? 1, 2 more buckets. Last bucket going in. Pivotal moment. Will it all line up? Wait. Right. Are you ready, Richard? last one. Yep. Aha! So we just need to force that around a bit to get it to seal up against the back. That is essentially it. And then I need to go around taking all the packers out and squeeze that left side up. So I'm just going around now, just squeezing everything up. It's currently raining, so quality of the filming is going to go downhill a bit now. So I'm going to have constant water on the lens. Yeah, I'm just getting this squeezed up slowly but surely. The method of packing it out really was the right decision. So I've managed to do the whole thing without putting a single scratch on the paintwork. Honestly, couldn't have gone more to plan. I am well pleased with it. The only thing I'm a bit disappointed with is that warping in the buckets, but it was a small price to pay to have them sufficiently strong enough to be galvanised. Okay, so the wheel is installed. It's all done. It all went together great. I'm well pleased with it. So the rain that was forecast to come has arrived. The wheel is working. So now my job now is I've got to run temporary wiring, and I need to get a really good substantial earth connected and a way of controlling the flow and everything, because if this gets spinning freewheel speed, it'll make 600 volts and it will kill someone. So running a big temporary earth back to the house to make sure everyone's safe standing in water, and then we're going to start looking at putting some water through it and running a few tests. So as we walk down the trough, the water comes down here, flows down where it meets the wheel, fills the buckets and makes lots of lovely power. Isn't that just fantastic? We've got the wheel installed. It's not completely installed because it hasn't got its covers on, it's not completely screwed down, but it's to the point that we're going to start running some tests. Now, I'm not a qualified electrician, and my deal with the customer is I would do the mechanics and I'll make the wheel produce electricity, but in order to connect it to the grid, because it's a grid tied system, it all needs to be done by a qualified electrician. What we're going to do now, because the electrician hasn't been yet and the cable and stuff isn't run, I've temporarily connected up a big earth to an earth rod back at the house, and then I've connected the wheel up via extension leads up to just as a temporary thing, so we can start to get a idea of the freewheel voltages. I live a long way away from here, so I need to do some tests now just to check, make sure if anything's wrong I can come back after the electrician's been and put anything that's wrong right. So we just need to do some temporary tests on some temporary leads. Everyone here has been briefed about how dangerous it could be because we're dealing with high voltages. Everyone knows not to get near anything, and it's all going to be very safe, and it's just literally just a test so we know what's going on, and then it's going to be disconnected and left to an electrician to make safe. So yeah, it's a big storm, that's why I'm talking to you from the Land Rover. Soaking wet, but the mill pond's filling, and soon we're going to start doing some freewheel speed tests on the wheel, see what voltages we get. So Richard's put a few boards in the on the dam that holds back the water, and mill pond's filling up slowly. Soon it's going to get to the level of the spillway, but we've got boards in the spillway which are controllable as well, so water can go down there around the spillway, bypass the wheel, or we can allow it to come up the dam, over into the trough and then down to the wheel. and we're going to do that, but just at very controlled speeds. So we got a temporary wiring set up. So I've got a big earth to the frame, paint scratched off, all 3 cores of a big extension lead. That's going back to a good earth that's been put in by an electrician at the house. And then I've just got temporarily extension lead going in using the 3 cores as the 3 phases. And very soon we're going to start letting a bit of water run over the wheel. And then I'm going to go and see what voltages we get at freewheeling speed. And then we'll know if we're safe to allow it to freewheel or if we need to put in some other mechanism to not ever let it freewheel. Ideally, it will be safe to be able to freewheel, but it might produce too much voltage if we do. But we're going to find that out now. So because we don't have any mechanism of stopping the wheel, because it's so powerful, other than stopping the flow of water, Richard has made this, this is all temporary, just for testing. This is going to be our flow control. So we're just going to start with a very small amount of water. And so at any point we can just stop the wheel and reevaluate if it starts to get out of control on us. So it's just starting to feel, starting to go down the spillway. This is not supposed to be coming down the spillway, it's just a leak, but starting to get water flowing. It's very satisfying, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The suspense, it's like the old watch pot never boils type situation. So obviously as the mill pond fills up, it takes exponentially longer because it has to back all the water up all the way back there as well. So some of you might have noticed that we've got this sharp turn on the trough, which is obviously not ideal, and water will splash over the sides there, and there is a loss of energy there. But we had to get the water wheel down there to get a decent amount of head, and it had to turn that corner that way. There's no real other way of doing it other than making the trough curved round there, which was quite a technical bit of woodwork. So we're at the level it's about to come over, but we're just waiting for the owner to come, because they're just about to come back, and we don't want to do it before they're here. So Richard's just pulling the odd board out just to try and keep the flow down, just so they can... There it comes. There she goes. Very, very low flow rate, but that's exactly what we want. So very slowly creeping up with the flow. Alright, we're going to put one more sideboard in just to get a little bit more flow. There we go. So obviously we're running a very slow flow rate. You can see the amount of water actually going in is minimal. So at the moment it's obviously not working efficiently, because we want this water, normally this water is going to be jumping a little bit further than this once the flow rate increases. This is exactly what we want for now, just testing. So this is where the power's coming in, into this little shed. No one's currently allowed in here other than me, because this is live now. So we'll check what DC voltage we've got coming in here. So we've got 130 volts on there, DC. So we'll increase the speed a little bit and see what we've got. This is free spinning speed, unloaded. So this is currently still unloaded, This is completely unloaded, so we're just doing free spinning tests at the moment. See, it is currently working, seems to be working quite well. And it's going quite fast, obviously. The reason for that is because it's not loaded. But let's go and check some voltages. See what voltage we got. This will be very, very dangerous voltage now. So I've got to be very careful. So we're at 340 volts now at that speed. So this is our current flow rate. That's all that we've got going in at the moment. And from that wheel's whipping round and making 350 volts. Flow is increasing. So this is currently spinning a lot faster than it will when it's loaded, but like I say, this is free spinning testing. So yeah, this is actually a very good thing because it's spinning too quickly. It's wasting a lot of its energy. All of that splashing is wasting the energy, and therefore we're not getting into dangerously high voltages. So that's actually really positive. When I slow it down, we'll get a much better bucket fill. Right, so we've shut the wheel off, so I'm going to go and now wire a load onto it and get it to run at a more efficient speed and actually load it and see if it actually generates some power, and then we'll start looking at the bucket fill angles and stuff. Right, so I'm starting to get a bit more confident in it. Starting to let a little bit more water through. We're not even at half flow though yet. And obviously we've got that issue on the corner that we knew about. So that's fine. The water wheel is currently generating power. I'll go and show you. It's not quite right at the moment. There's a little bit of tweaking to do. But we're in the ballpark. So if you have a look, we're I wouldn't say we're even half full on the buckets just yet, but we have got a bit more splashing than I'd like. So I'd like to try and get the controller to slow it down a little bit, so it doesn't need to go that fast, and it can take a lot more flow. Yeah, we're generating power. I'll go and show you the power output. So we've definitely got a lot of tweaking to do. Currently running 530 watts, 530, 540, and I'd say it's about half the flow rate it can take. Need to sort out a bit of a curvature on that corner because there's lost energy there. I need to get a bit more flow down here by removing a bit more off the dam, and then I need to have a look at maybe sorting out that splashing a bit, because there's a bit of loss there, not a lot but a bit. The gearbox mechanism and everything, that's working absolutely perfect, and it is actually filling quite well. Just I wouldn't say perfectly though. We're not getting a complete fill at all yet, and I think we might need to add a little bit of I think maybe even the trough's even a little bit too short. It's not quite filling the buckets at the centre point. But it's getting late in the day, as you can probably tell, so I'm going to shut that off just so it doesn't have to run all night until I've tested everything, and then we'll tweak about with it tomorrow. Morning everyone, I hope you can hear me okay. Obviously it's quite loud. We had quite a bit of rain overnight. You can see the flow rate is quite significant. So today's plan is going to be to get full flow going through the wheel, because I only managed I only wanted to go to half flow yesterday, so I want to go to full flow, see where we're at with the power, and then I want to do some tweaks on that corner, maybe move the wheel back and forward a little bit, maybe try and reduce some of that splashing, and then Once I've done that, then I'm gonna de-wire the temporary wiring and start running proper conduit and everything, ready for the electrician to wire in the main cable. So yeah, just let some water through the wheel. It's going to go way too fast initially, and then the controller will notice it and slow it down. We'll start making some power then. You'll actually see when the controller loads it, because it will slow down. And there she goes. Start to slow it down now. So all the wet weather played havoc with my microphone and got some distortion. But yeah, I'm just letting through a bit more water. As you can see, it's probably somewhere in the region of maybe 2/3 flow, maybe a little bit more. I do get it up to nearly full flow. It's about there. That's pretty much full flow, although there is still that restriction in there, which is about 1 inch. So I'd say we're pretty close to what we're going to be able to put through the trough at that point. Maybe at least 3/4 flow rate. As you can see, there's still a pretty big issue with that corner, starting to lose some over as we expected. And so now I go into the controller and just see what power we're producing. So with that flow rate of nearly a full flow rate, not quite, and the wheel is currently spinning too fast, and I'm not convinced on the bucket angles either. But currently we're making 950 watts, so that's what would be going into the grid at that point. So that's our point of reference, and that's what we're going to work on now to tweak as we go along. Obviously this corner, there's a fair amount of water getting lost over there, and there's also a fair amount of splashing off the front of the bucket. So I need to sort out that corner for that lost water there. I need to slow the flow in the trough down a little bit because the angle's a bit too steep, and I need to mess with the speed of the wheel and mess with the bucket angle. Right, good morning everyone. So yesterday I was at this all day. I've run Copex, galvanised Copex out the alternator. That then transfers into galvanised conduit, which goes up over to the shed and into the shed. Then that comes up through the wall, up here, into an isolator. And then this is my temporary testing cable, and the electrician is going to do everything from here back to the house, everything like that. You know, this is just the 3 phases off the wheel are in there. Everything else is the electrician's problem because I'm not qualified. Right, so now I'm happy with all that. I'm going to get the cover on, which I fitted the handles to, and then I'm going to start diverting some of this water around there, so I can get my fixings into the pads, concrete pads. Belt's nice and tight. Right then, I've been flat out busy today, just doing little finishing jobs. I just fixed the wheel down to the concrete pads using resin anchors. I'm just waiting for that all to dry, and I want to do some more testing today. So I'm going to get this dam to start filling up. So obviously I needed the pads to be nice and dry. So I'll fill it back up again now, and then do some more testing. See if I can get the wheel to go a bit slower, because that's what I really want. Is I want it much slower. It's going too fast. The controller is telling it to just go faster than it should do. So I'm gonna load it down and see if I can get it to run at a more efficient speed, and figure out why the controller's doing what it's doing. We're getting a kilowatt, but it's throwing the water off. It's just too fast. I need to slow it all down. Suggested to the owner that we want a nice lead in here, really, because the water suddenly coming around this curve, this sharp curve, isn't that helpful. But the main problem I got is that the controller telling the wheel to spin too quick. So here comes the first little trickle of water. I've been waiting for a bit for the mill pond to fill up. The first little trickle of water is coming. So while we're waiting for the flow rate to build up, as you can see, I've put a piece of plywood on the end of this trough because I'm a bit worried that we maybe cut it back a bit too far. Obviously, depending on how fast the water is moving in the trough, depends on how far it jumps off the end of the trough, and obviously that's going to change slightly with flow rate and the angle of the trough, which I do plan to reduce a little bit. But I think maybe that there's a bit of an issue with the fill angle. You see, the thing is, it wants to fill from the very top, otherwise there's a bit of head loss, because the buckets aren't going to be filling from the very highest point, and they won't have water in them for as long as they possibly could. But if you fill it from the very highest point, then you don't quite get the right bucket fill angle. And the bucket angle can't be changed, obviously, but the angle of the water attacking it can be. So that's what I'm messing with that bit of plywood. Now, the reason the buckets are angled the way they are is because it's the way in which they are able to be filled to their brim and not start releasing water before the halfway point. If I tilted the buckets further forwards, they would start to lose their water before the halfway point. So they're perfect in that sense. We just need to get the actual fill angle of the trough into them just right. And that's all going to depend on how far the water jumps off the end. So ultimately it might need some kind of ramp or something to guide the water into the buckets better, or something like that. But that's all going to become clear with testing. The next thing I wanted to do was actually take a slow motion video of the water, because it seemed to me like the water was just getting thrown off too much, and this is the issue here. You see, the bucket's actually impacting the flow of water, and the buckets aren't filling, and that's where that splashing's coming from. So part of that is the bucket fill angle, and part of it is the fact that the wheel is just spinning way too fast. So those are the main things I need to fix and sort out. So that's what we're going to do, and we shall come to the conclusions we need to based on more testing. There she goes. So there we go. Obviously buckets aren't filling properly because the water's not going far enough over, because it's designed to have a much higher flow rate. But that's enough for us to go and mess with the settings on the controller and do some more testing. But that's more like the speed I want it to go. A little bit faster than that, but that's about the speed it should be going. The controller makes it go about twice that speed, and I want it to stop doing that. Right, I am well pleased. I have found the setting I want. So in here, just for other people's information, you can go into here. Hope you can see this, but you can go down, which is the exact setting I wanted. Menu, special settings, that was it. Special settings, constant voltage mode. So I've turned the voltage right down, turned it down to 100 volts, slow the wheel down. I'm going to slowly creep back up on it and see where it's the most efficient. So it's just filling up a bit of water now. So even saying that'll do. We didn't change anything, but yeah, it's just filling up water. 180 watts at the moment. Just go and let some more water through, and we're in business. So I've just come up to the dam up here, and falling over. I've taken the bit of plywood from there out, get a bit more flow rate, because we're not even near max flow, but creep up on it slowly. So I've got a bit more flow, and let's head back down, see how the wheel's reacting at 100 volts. Alright, we're starting to look a lot better. Little tiny bit of splashing, but not much. Much slower rate. I can see the buckets, they're about a third full, maybe. That is much more like it. So as you can see, the buckets are not completely full, not even close. And also what is nice is I'm tipping the water out right at the very bottom. So I've managed to work out all the niggles and all the things I need to adapt and change. I'm going tomorrow, and we're gonna have to leave this at this now. I've got a few things to modify, and we're gonna have to come back to. But overall, I'm very pleased. Problem is that I figured out the reason the wheel was spinning so fast. It's because this alternator wants to be spinning much faster than it is. When I allow the wheel to spin very quickly, you know, you saw we had 1,000 watts and we weren't even at full flow, but it starts chucking the water off and wasting loads of energy in the wheel. But that's what the alternator likes. When I manually in the controller tell the controller to slow the wheel right down, we get less power. And I came out here and I thought, oh, it smells hot. And this alternator was roasting. I can just about put my hand on it now, but I put some water on it and it boiled the water instantly. So it was wasting all of the energy in the alternator. So I need to gear it up. So I need to go much bigger pulley here and get this alternator spinning much faster. And that way we can have the wheel spin slower and more efficiently, and the alternator spin faster and more efficiently. So I'm gonna leave it at that, and we're gonna come back with some modifications, just some bigger pulleys, and once the electrician's been and run all the permanent cables, and then we will do final tweaks and everything. But 1,000 watts without tweaking it ain't too bad, I don't think. And that wasn't even at full flow. So yeah, that is now shut off. One last look. I reckon that's a big success. Yeah, we'll be back in a few weeks once the electrician's been and get it all finalised, and I reckon we'll get 1.5 kilowatts out of it. Hopefully 1.7, but I'll be happy with 1.5. And we'll come back with another pulley. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.